But this was literally on my car like this. This is why you have to be careful. I don't really know what to do moving forward with this, but this definitely looks like a tracker to me. All right. So this is so crazy, you guys. So crazy. Like, who would do this? It says sell.
Check under your car, ladies. Those were the words Abigail Saldana shared with her Instagram followers on October 14th, 2021. The 22-year-old mother stood in her driveway, phone in hand, recording what she'd just discovered beneath her vehicle. A small black tracking device, deliberately placed there by someone who wanted to monitor her every move. In the video, you can hear the slight tremor in her voice as she holds up the device, showing her followers exactly what to look for. It's the kind of post that makes you stop scrolling, the kind that makes your stomach drop. Because deep down, we all know that finding a tracking device on your car isn't just about the device itself, it's about the person who put it there, and their intentions. Abigail was doing what so many of us do when we're scared, reaching out, warning others, trying to make sense of a situation that shouldn't be happening. But she wasn't just sharing a cautionary tale. She was documenting what would later become crucial evidence in her own murder investigation. 12 days. That's all the time Abigail had left when she spoke those haunting words on Instagram. This is no joke, and sometimes you think it will never be you. She couldn't have known then how tragically prophetic those words would become. At just 22 years old, Abigail was doing everything right. She was a single mother working 2 jobs, as an eyebrow stylist and at Rick's Cabaret in Fort Worth, all to provide a better life for her 5-year-old son, Joseph J. She had moved to Dallas 2 years earlier, chasing bigger dreams and opportunities. Her infectious laugh and golden heart touched everyone around her. But someone was watching. Someone was tracking. Someone was obsessing. That someone was Stanley Frank Siliga, a 54-year-old software engineer and former U.S. Marine. What started as a customer-employee relationship at Rick's Cabaret had morphed into something far more dangerous. Abigail knew something wasn't right. She felt it. She documented it. She warned others about it. Her Instagram post wasn't just a warning, it was a cry for help, a digital trail of what was happening to her. And while she was trying to protect others, time was running out for her. Listen, before we continue with Abigail's story, I need you to understand something. This isn't just another true crime case. This is a story that could save lives. Maybe even yours, or someone you love. If you're watching this right now, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because the information we're about to share could make all the difference. You might be thinking, it won't happen to me. That's exactly what Abigail thought too. But here's the reality. According to recent statistics, 1 in 6 women will experience stalking in their lifetime. That's your sister, your friend, your coworker, or maybe even you. Drop a comment below sharing your thoughts on personal safety. Have you ever found yourself in a situation that didn't feel right? What did you do? Your experience might help someone else who's watching this video right now. Now let's return to October 2021. Abigail Saldana, a 22-year-old single mother, was about to face the darkest moments of her life. And it all started with what seemed like just another regular customer at her workplace. Born on February 4, 1999, in Wichita Falls, Texas, Abigail "Abby" Saldana grew up surrounded by love in a close-knit Hispanic family. Her parents, Jessica Contreras and Mario Saldana, raised her alongside her siblings, Aaron J., Mario Jacob, MJ, and Adriana Rose. Those who knew Abby couldn't help but be drawn to her infectious energy. She had this remarkable ability to light up any room she walked into, and her laughter, well, it was the kind that made everyone else want to join in. Her mother would often say that Abby's heart was pure gold, always ready to help others, even when she had her own struggles to deal with. From an early age, Abby showed a fierce, independent streak. She had big dreams and the determination to match. Her interests in music, makeup, and fashion weren't just hobbies. They were part of who she was, expressions of her vibrant personality. But above all, what truly defined Abby was her role as a mother. a responsibility she took on with unwavering dedication. 2 years before her death, Abigail made a decision that would change the course of her life. With her young son Joseph J. in tow, she left her hometown of Wichita Falls behind, setting her sights on Dallas. It wasn't just a change of scenery. It was a mother's determined effort to create better opportunities for her child. Dallas represented possibility. The bustling metropolis offered more job prospects, better schools for Joseph, and the chance to build something meaningful. For a 20-year-old single mother, it was a brave move, leaving behind the comfort of her close-knit family and the familiar streets of her hometown. In Dallas, Abigail quickly proved her resilience. She secured an apartment, established herself as an eyebrow stylist, and began creating the life she'd envisioned. Her mother, Jessica Contreras, would later recall how proud she was of Abigail's independence and determination. Despite the challenges of being young and raising a child alone in a new city, Abigail faced each day with optimism and strength. In Fort Worth, Abigail took a position at Rick's Cabaret while also maintaining her work as an eyebrow stylist. It wasn't an easy choice, but it was one that allowed her to provide for Joseph J. The reality of being a single mother meant making tough decisions, and Abigail approached her work with the same determination she brought to everything else in her life. At Rick's, she quickly earned respect from her coworkers for her professional attitude and strong work ethic. She wasn't just there to earn money. She was building relationships, showing kindness to everyone she met, and maintaining clear boundaries with customers. Her manager would later describe her as one of their most reliable employees. But the adult entertainment industry comes with its own set of challenges. Abigail was aware of the risks and took precautions to protect herself. She maintained a strict separation between her work life and personal life, especially when it came to interactions with customers. She was smart about her safety, always letting someone know her schedule and staying alert to her surroundings. Little did she know that one customer would become fixated on breaking down those carefully constructed boundaries. One customer who couldn't or wouldn't understand that the relationship was strictly professional. Stanley Frank Saliga wasn't the kind of person who immediately set off alarm bells. At 54, he was a software engineer and former U.S. Marine, someone who, on paper, seemed to have his life together. He frequented Rick's Cabaret in Fort Worth, where he first encountered Abigail, presenting himself as just another customer. But beneath that ordinary exterior lay something far more concerning. Saliga's military background and technical expertise would later prove to be a dangerous combination. His understanding of tracking technology and surveillance, combined with an increasing obsession, would create a perfect storm. What made him particularly dangerous was his ability to appear normal while harboring increasingly disturbing thoughts and intentions. He maintained a professional career, lived in a decent neighborhood, and initially showed no obvious red flags. This is often what makes predatory behavior so difficult to identify early on. The perpetrators can blend seamlessly into society while planning their actions with frightening precision. At first, Stanley Saliga was just another customer at Rick's Cabaret. He would come in regularly, requesting private dances from Abigail, maintaining what appeared to be a typical customer-entertainer relationship. But there were subtle signs that something wasn't quite right. Saliga began requesting Abigail specifically, spending increasing amounts of money and time at the club. He presented himself as a successful software engineer, often boasting about his military background and financial stability. To the casual observer, he might have seemed like just another well-paying customer. But Abigail, with the instincts that many women in the industry develop, began noticing subtle changes in his behavior. What started as regular visits evolved into something more intense. He began asking personal questions, trying to learn more about her life outside work. While maintaining professional boundaries is a crucial part of working in adult entertainment, Saliga seemed determined to cross them. As weeks passed, Saliga's behavior took a disturbing turn. His visits to Rick's Cabaret became more frequent, and his interactions with Abigail grew increasingly possessive. He began showing up during her shifts, watching her intently, and making other dancers uncomfortable with his presence. What made the situation particularly alarming was his use of social media. Saliga's Instagram account became a digital shrine to his obsession. He would post lengthy rants about Abigail, making wild accusations and claims. His posts revealed a man losing touch with reality, convinced there was more to their relationship than there actually was. On October 20th, 2021, his online behavior reached new levels of concerning. In a single day, he made 4 separate posts analyzing Abigail's social media activity, even tracking which posts she had liked. He was monitoring her every digital move, creating a virtual web of surveillance that extended far beyond the club's walls. The financial aspect of Saliga's obsession revealed a disturbing pattern of behavior. Through his social media posts, he claimed to have made substantial payments both to Abigail and Rick's Cabaret. He meticulously documented alleged transactions: $200, $800, and $1,000 to Abigail directly, while boasting of larger payments to RCI Dining, Rick's Cabaret's parent company, amounts exceeding $5,000, $2,600, and $2,000. These financial investments, as Saliga saw them, seemed to fuel his sense of entitlement. In his mind, these transactions weren't just payment for services, they represented something more. He began to craft a narrative that went far beyond the typical customer-entertainer relationship, convincing himself that his financial contributions entitled him to control over Abigail's life choices. On October 14, 2021, Abigail made a discovery that would prove to be a frightening precursor to what was coming. Standing in her driveway, she filmed herself holding a small black tracking device she'd found attached underneath her car. Her voice, steady but concerned, delivered a warning to her Instagram followers. "Check under your car, ladies." The discovery of this tracking device wasn't just alarming, it was terrifying proof that someone was monitoring her every move. Abigail did everything right in that moment. She documented the evidence, reported it to her workplace management, and even went to the police. She showed the device to her family, expressing growing concern about a customer named Stan who had been making her increasingly uncomfortable. But perhaps the most haunting aspect of this discovery was Abigail's own words in that Instagram video. "This is no joke, and sometimes you think it will never be you." Those words would take on a devastating new meaning just 12 days later. In the weeks leading up to her death, Abigail took proactive steps to protect herself by reporting her concerns to the management at Rick's Cabaret. She specifically mentioned a customer named Stan who had been making her increasingly uncomfortable. Her instincts were telling her something wasn't right, and she listened to them. The management team at Rick's was aware of the situation. They knew about Saliga's frequent visits and his fixation on Abigail. What makes this detail particularly significant is that in the adult entertainment industry, it's not uncommon for regular customers to form attachments to specific dancers. But something about Saliga's behavior stood out enough that both Abigail and the management recognized it as different, as more concerning than the usual customer interaction. The fact that she felt compelled to report him speaks volumes about the level of discomfort she was experiencing. These weren't just casual complaints. They were serious concerns from someone who understood the difference between normal customer behavior and something more threatening. In the weeks before her death, Abigail's conversations with her family, particularly her mother, Jessica Contreras, took on an increasingly worried tone. She opened up about a customer named Stan, who was making her uncomfortable, sharing specific details about his behavior at the club and his growing fixation on her. During these conversations, Abigail would express her concerns while trying to maintain her characteristic strength. She didn't want her family to worry excessively, but she also knew she needed to keep them informed. Her mother later recalled how Abigail would update her regularly about the situation, sharing screenshots of Saliga's social media posts and discussing the precautions she was taking. These family conversations revealed Abigail's growing awareness of the danger she faced. She wasn't just venting, she was creating a record of what was happening to her. Her family became her support system, offering advice and emotional support as the situation grew more concerning. In the days leading up to October 26th, Saliga's social media activity reached disturbing new heights. His Instagram became a digital manifesto of delusion, filled with lengthy posts dissecting every aspect of Abigail's life. Saliga's posts revealed an increasingly dangerous mindset. He would share screenshots of alleged financial transactions, claiming to have sent various payments to both Abigail and Rick's Cabaret. These weren't just random posts, they were calculated attempts to establish what he believed was his investment in Abigail's life. The most concerning elements were his accusations and demands. In rambling posts, he would make wild claims about Abigail's personal life, demanding she quit her job and conform to his expectations. His language grew more possessive and controlling with each post, showing a man who had completely lost touch with reality. What made these posts particularly shivery was their methodical nature. This wasn't just angry venting, it was systematic documentation of his obsession, revealing a mind that had created an entirely fictional relationship while meticulously tracking every aspect of Abigail's life. Let me pause here for a moment, because what we're discussing isn't just a story, it's a crucial lesson about personal safety. If you're watching this video right now, I want you to do 3 things. First, hit that like button, not for the algorithm, but because it helps spread this important message to others who need to hear it. Every like potentially helps someone recognize warning signs in their own life. Second, if you've ever experienced stalking or know someone who has, share your insights in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else identify red flags they're currently missing. Remember, stalking affects 1 in 6 women, and many don't recognize the signs until it's too late. Third, and most importantly, if you're watching this and recognizing similar patterns in your own life, please don't stay silent. Save these emergency numbers in your phone right now. National Stalking Resource Center. Local law enforcement. A trusted friend or family member who can be your safety contact. Remember, Abigail did many things right. She documented everything, told her family and management, and tried to warn others. But sometimes, even when we do everything right, the system fails us. That's why we need to look out for each other. On Tuesday, October 26, 2021, what started as an ordinary day would end in tragedy. The events unfolded near Highway 183 in Fort Worth, in close proximity to Rick's Cabaret, where Abigail worked. The location wasn't random, it was a route she frequently traveled. The timing suggests Abigail was either heading to or returning from work, as evidenced by the clothes later found in her car. The silver Hyundai sedan she was driving would become the focal point of a 911 call that would soon alert authorities to the tragedy. Earlier that day, before the shooting, Abigail had gone about her normal routine. She had been particularly vigilant in recent weeks, knowing she was being watched. The tracking device she'd found on her car 2 weeks earlier had made her extra cautious about her surroundings. Yet, despite her precautions, someone was waiting for her that day. Security cameras near Highway 183 captured crucial moments leading up to the tragedy. Saliga's vehicle was spotted multiple times that day, suggesting he was tracking Abigail's movements with precision. The footage showed him positioning his vehicle strategically near Rick's Cabaret, where he would have a clear view of the entrance and exit routes. The surveillance evidence revealed a pattern that went beyond random chance. Saliga had been monitoring the area throughout October, but on this particular day, his movements were more purposeful. The cameras captured his vehicle following a specific route that aligned with Abigail's typical path to and from work. This evidence, combined with the tracking device discovered earlier, painted a picture of premeditated stalking. The footage would later prove invaluable to investigators, showing how Saliga had carefully planned his actions on that fatal day. A 911 call came in reporting what initially appeared to be a traffic accident on Highway 183 in Fort Worth. A witness described seeing a silver Hyundai sedan speeding off the International Parkway exit ramp before coming to rest in a grassy area near the roadway. When the witness approached the vehicle to check on the driver, they made a horrific discovery: bullet holes through the passenger side window. The driver was unresponsive. When first responders arrived at the scene near Highway 183, they found Abigail's silver Hyundai sedan in a grassy area off the International Parkway exit ramp. The initial 911 caller had stopped to help they thought was a traffic accident victim, but discovered something far more disturbing: bullet holes through the passenger side window. Inside the vehicle, police found Abigail's passport, which helped them quickly identify her. They also discovered clothing consistent with what an exotic dancer would wear, suggesting she was either heading to or from work at Rick's Cabaret, which was visible from where her car came to rest. The crime scene told a story of violence. 3 shell casings and broken glass were scattered near the intersection of Ammon Carter Boulevard and Texas 183. The location of these items, combined with the bullet holes in the car, indicated that Abigail had been shot while driving, causing her to lose control of the vehicle. The medical examination revealed that Abigail had been shot in her right arm and the right side of her back, injuries that proved fatal. Just 2 days after Abigail's death, on October 28, 2021, law enforcement closed in on Stanley Saliga. But when they arrived at his residence in Irving, Texas, they encountered resistance. Saliga had barricaded himself inside his apartment, refusing to cooperate with police commands. The situation intensified as SWAT teams were called to the scene. After attempts at negotiation failed, they made the decision to force entry into his apartment. What they found inside painted a disturbing picture. Saliga had multiple self-inflicted wounds, suggesting he may have attempted to take his own life rather than face the consequences of his actions. Despite his injuries, law enforcement successfully took him into custody. The swift arrest was largely due to the trail of evidence Saliga had left behind, from the tracking device Abigail had documented to his obsessive social media posts. His own digital footprint had become the very thing that led police straight to his door. The evidence against Stanley Saliga was substantial. Fort Worth police charged him with first-degree murder, and a judge set his bond at $250,000. The prosecution's case was built on multiple pieces of compelling evidence that painted a clear picture of premeditated murder. Key elements of the case included the tracking device Abigail had documented on Instagram, his extensive social media posts showing escalating obsession, financial records of his transactions at Rick's Cabaret, witness statements from club management about his harassment, physical evidence from the crime scene, including the shell casings and bullet trajectory analysis. During his arrest, Saliga's behavior raised additional concerns. When SWAT teams found him in his Irving apartment, he had multiple self-inflicted wounds, suggesting a consciousness of guilt and possible attempt to avoid facing justice for his actions. The case highlighted several critical failures in the system. Despite Abigail's attempts to document and report the stalking, including finding and reporting the tracking device to police, the response had been inadequate. Her mother, Jessica Contreras, made a powerful statement about this, vowing to attend every court date in pursuit of justice for her daughter. The charges against Saliga represented more than just a murder case. They became a symbol of the broader issue of violence against women in vulnerable professions. The prosecution would need to prove not just the act itself, but the calculated nature of the crime, from the placement of the tracking device to the final, fatal confrontation. Every year in the United States, 7.5 million people experience stalking. Let that number sink in. That's roughly the entire population of Arizona. But these aren't just numbers. They're stories like Abigail's, where lives are forever changed or, tragically, cut short. Women between 18 to 24 years old face the highest risk, particularly those working in service industries or entertainment. The statistics paint a sobering picture. 1 in 3 women who are murdered by an intimate partner experience stalking in the year before their death. What makes these numbers even more devastating is that 54% of femicide victims reported stalking to police before they were killed. The digital age has transformed stalking. GPS trackers, like the one Abigail found, are increasingly common tools used by stalkers. According to the National Network to End Domestic Violence, 67% of stalkers use some form of electronic monitoring to track their victims. The average stalking case lasts 2 years, and victims typically experience over 100 incidents before seeking help. Most disturbing is this: in cases like Abigail's, where the stalker is a customer or client, the risk of violence increases by 75% when the victim rejects or sets boundaries with their stalker. The entertainment industry sees these statistics at even higher rates. Dancers and performers are 3 times more likely to experience stalking than the general population. Abigail's case highlights several critical warning signs that everyone should be aware of. These red flags often appear long before situations escalate to violence. Digital surveillance is a modern stalking tool that's becoming increasingly common. Like the tracking device Abigail discovered, stalkers often use technology to monitor their victims. This can include social media monitoring, tracking devices, or spyware on phones. Obsessive documentation is another warning sign that was evident in Saliga's behavior. His meticulous recording of payments, social media interactions, and attempts to control Abigail's life choices demonstrated a dangerous fixation. When someone keeps detailed records of your activities or interactions, it's rarely innocent. Escalating boundary violations are particularly dangerous. In Abigail's case, what began as customer interactions at Rick's Cabaret evolved into unwanted contact outside of work, surveillance, and ultimately violence. Stalkers often test boundaries gradually, becoming more invasive over time. The most concerning warning sign is what experts call perceived ownership. Saliga's social media posts revealed he believed he had a right to control Abigail's life choices, particularly regarding her work and relationships. This sense of entitlement often precedes violence. In light of Abigail's story, it's crucial to share potentially life-saving safety measures and resources. If you or someone you know is experiencing stalking, there are immediate steps you can take. Document everything. Create a detailed log of incidents, save screenshots, and backup evidence to secure cloud storage. This documentation can be crucial for law enforcement and legal proceedings. Utilize technology wisely. Apps like Life360, Noonlight, and trusted GPS tracking services can help loved ones monitor your location. Consider installing security cameras at your residence and regularly checking your vehicle for tracking devices. The National Stalking Resource Center provides free safety planning assistance. Their hotline, 855-484-2846, operates 24/7, offering guidance and support. Additionally, organizations like RAIN connect victims with local resources and legal advocacy. For those in the service industry, specific safety measures include varying routes to and from work, using workplace escort services when available, maintaining separate social media accounts for work and personal life, installing doorbell cameras and motion sensor lighting at home, creating a code word with trusted coworkers for emergency situations. The ripple effects of Abigail's death continue to impact her family, particularly her young son, Joseph J., and her mother, Jessica Contreras. Jessica has become an outspoken advocate for victims of stalking, channeling her grief into a mission to prevent similar tragedies. The loss has been particularly profound for Joseph J., who at just 5 years old lost his mother to senseless violence. The family has worked to preserve Abigail's memory for him, sharing stories of her vibrant personality, her contagious laughter, and her unwavering dedication to providing him a better life. Before we end today's video, I want to speak directly to you, our viewer. Abigail's story isn't just another true crime case. It's a wake-up call that could save lives. If you've learned something valuable from this video, please consider sharing it with someone who might need this information. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications to join our community, dedicated to raising awareness about personal safety and preventing similar tragedies. Your engagement helps us reach more people with these crucial messages. In the description below, I've included links to stalking prevention resources. Remember Abigail's words. This is no joke, and sometimes you think it will never be you. Her story reminds us that awareness and action can make the difference between life and death. Leave a comment below, sharing what warning signs stood out to you from this case. Your insight might help someone else recognize similar patterns in their own life. Thank you for watching, and remember, stay aware, stay safe, and never hesitate to seek help if you feel threatened.